We're joined now by Ben Tavener, a senior reporter with the Rio Times. Ben, what do we know about this collapse?
We've actually had a revised death toll. The rescuers have actually now started bringing people out of the rubble. The death toll is now standing at 3. It's been a bit of a reporting nightmare. Today's papers were led with the words collapse and death, and the numbers have been going up and down. But now rescuers are picking through the rubble. They hope to finish by tonight. As I say, the number is now at 3, with 21 people still unaccounted for. You're right, there were eyewitness reports last night that gas was smelt, and some were saying that an explosion was also heard, but the authorities and structural engineers and experts are now saying that it's actually more likely that this was a structural problem, and one paper here is reporting that construction work that was being undertaken on that 20-story building that you were talking about was actually to blame, and that a piece of scaffolding was taken out, and that led to the 20-story building coming down, which then took another 2 buildings with it, a 10-story and a 4-story building site.
Is the sense that this is a one-off incident, or is there a lot of concern about general infrastructure in the city?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that Rio does have some problems with its buildings. You have to understand the climate in Rio is extremely difficult for buildings. Last week, temperatures of over 40 Celsius, over 100 Fahrenheit were reported. And that mixture of very high temperatures, sea salt in the air, very moist, hot climate, means that buildings do age faster than they would otherwise do. And of course, as you mentioned, the World Cup and the Olympics coming up here in the next 2 and 4 years, respectively, mean that a lot of buildings are being built, and there is a construction boom happening in Rio. And this does mean that people are kind of coming in and setting up construction companies, and not always the best materials or techniques are being implemented, to say the least.
Well, this could turn into a public relations disaster.
Well, I'm not sure, because this area that was affected last night, although it is visited by some tourists, it's not the hot ticket in Rio, down in Copacabana. It's Ipanema, where hotels are really to a good standard. And I really hope that Rio is able to claw back its image. But it's, as you say, there have been some problems as well with the construction of stadiums for the World Cup, which is coming here in 2 years' time. And Rio really does need to get its act together to make sure that it manages to keep its tourism industry booming, because it's not São Paulo. São Paulo is the economic center of Brazil. Rio really does rely on tourism, and I'm sure officials in the city are not looking forward to the pictures being shown of this building collapse being shown around the world today. Might
there be a criminal investigation looking for either negligence or corruption?
I imagine there might be. As I say, there are reports now coming out that the work being carried out on that 20-story building was not registered officially with the local authorities. I suspect a criminal investigation will follow from that. Whether anybody will be found responsible is another matter. The legal system here may not be able to pin this on one person. But if you look at the before and after pictures that are now available, it really did look like this building was attacked on the side of an even bigger building. And the area that it's in it's full of historical buildings. It's right next to the municipal theatre, which was built over 100 years ago. So we'll see whether heads will roll over this, but I suspect that a number of questions will come out of this. And if it is proven that it was a gas leak, which is looking more and more unlikely, then that will also be taken into consideration, because a restaurant, as you may remember, was blown up by a gas leak last October, and 3 deaths resulted from that as well. So clearly there are some infrastructure problems here, and we're just going to hope that tourists aren't dissuaded by the news.
Ben Tavener is with the Rio Times. Thanks very much, Ben. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much.